Yeah, this don't look too inviting. I don't know about you, but I think I'm gonna avoid this muddy mess. That don't look like a whole hell of a lot of fun. Maybe I'll go back and we can build something, you know, make our time productive somehow. What did you think of that mud mess out there? Yeah, I didn't think much good of it either. That's why we're not going to be out there playing in it. I guess we could slodge around all day long and I don't think we'd have a lot of fun with it. For now, I think we'll just come on in and try and do something else. You know, I could have worked on some sort of a wood project or something. You know, that's something you can do when it's weather's not cooperating so much. But you know, I just wanted to share with you one of the biggest mistakes that I see gardeners making. I see people that do all their planning, they've done a ton of research, they've, you know, been through countless seed catalogs, maybe you've even started your seeds. You know, and you've had some success with that, and you've got some nice seedlings that are going to go out into the garden, and you've transplanted them from them little seed cups to a bigger pot, and man, it's all going good. You've sat down, you've drawn out, you know, places where you want to do flower beds and where you want vegetables, and you've even picked out 2 or 3 new trees you plan on buying, and a couple of shrubs, and all that good stuff. And that's all good stuff. You're right on the right track, and that is, you know, that is a lot of the fun of doing a garden. But here's where I see a big mistake. And there was an old man a long time ago, probably about 30 years ago, that he was a very successful farmer and a very successful nurseryman, having a successful plant nursery where he sold plants for, I don't know, 50, 60 years. And he shared a secret with me. And my experience of the last 30, 40 years would concur with what he had to say. And here is the big secret, is people not planting. I mean, like we talked about a few minutes ago, you've already went and done all your research, you've started some seeds, maybe you went out to the nurseries, talked to the people there, you've got in the plant, you bought the plants to fill the gaps, and then they just sit. You've got them lined up somewhere, and you go out and you water them, you take care of them, and you're like, this weekend's going to be the weekend I get these things planted. I just need to add a little compost, and I need my next paycheck to come in. Well, about the time that paycheck comes in, you need a new tire. So you can't buy that compost. You had to get that tire. And so then you're like, well, next week will be the week I get to get the compost and get that going and stuff like that. Before long, you know, one thing turns into another, and you just don't get them planted. They're still alive. They're still very capable of producing very well for you, but you haven't planted them. And life happens. I get it. Life happens. You know, you have to put things off. I've had this similar scenario hit me a time or two too. So I do know what I'm talking about. But it's better to get them in somewhere rather than just let them all summer long sit there and not do anything. If you get them in the ground somewhere and you get a little water to them, I mean, that's a basic need. That's the basic need, is get some correct watering to a plant, and you'll get something. I mean, there is some exception where an insect or something, or an animal or something can completely annihilate a plant. But for the most part, you get that plant in the ground and you will get something. Maybe it won't be a bumper crop. You know, maybe it's not a ton of stuff, but you're learning. You're learning, and the next time will be better. You know, maybe life circumstance works out to where you can do it just the way you had been planning. But get those plants in the ground, you know, and try and meet that minimal need with water. You know, the better you can do, of course, the better it is. But those plants just sitting there, just a waste of money. Just a waste of money. And another way you can look at these things is if you don't plant something, nature will. Anywhere there's a speck of dirt, anywhere, and a little water gets to it, something's going to try and grow on it. You just will be in charge and in control of that situation. You know, if a weed grows, you're probably going to have to spend some time pulling it. And then maybe pulling it again several times throughout the growing season. If you plant something there, you know, a nice healthy seedling of something, there's a good chance that it'll grow and produce you something that'll outcompete the weeds. You know, just a little bit of water, and you can grow something there. And you'll learn from it. I used to work for a research and development company for a lot of years, an awful lot of years. And one of the principles that they went by is you make mistakes as fast as you can, you learn from them, and you grow, and you go to the next thing. And not even a great inventor like Thomas Edison had the very similar philosophy. You know, he made 10,000 mistakes to learn one thing. He learned 10,999 ways of how not to do it, but then he did find the one way. And so the big secret really is be planting. That old man I talked about a little bit earlier, his secret was plant, plant, plant. Just keep planting. He's like, you don't know necessarily what the spring's going to hold. Sometimes you end up with that bumper crop. Sometimes you have to replant. But you just keep planting. You keep planting. And there's a lot of truth to that. Eventually, you know, with the food forest type thing, eventually you've got perennial things and you don't have to do as much. But for the majority of gardeners, that is one of the hugest mistakes they can make, is simply not planting.